Okay, got it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Creative Real Estate University. Tonight, we'll be talking about PadSplits or co-living. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I appreciate it. It's been a while since I've done a show. Cindy and I have kind of been hiding under a rock, but not really. We never sit still. But we've kind of let all of our normal routine of doing shows slip. So I apologize for that. We'll do better. And on that note, I think we have John Park coming on again. He's going to talk about some self-directed retirement accounts and how to use that for buying properties. And we have another show coming up talking about how we can save money and reduce expenses when operating rental properties, especially co-livings, but single families as well. So on that note, we're going to talk about that co-living model and PadSplit. We've had representatives of PadSplit on the show before. This is really when Cindy and I were buying our house in Tampa and diving into our first PadSplit. Ellis Trans was on. And we really weren't sure, diving into it, how it was going to work out. But boy, we really had a great time in the first couple months. Again, that co-living or PadSplit, it's all rent by the room. So you're not renting out the house. But the PadSplit model is they handle all of the people problems. So they'll find the tenant, they screen the tenants, they collect the rent. If anybody's late, they take care of it. We just maintain the property. And that really simplified our lives because Cindy and I are very, very busy. Everything else that we have going on, usually taking care of all Nancy's problems. Right. So the more that we can have help on that side, especially finding good tenants and getting them moved in. And they really built a lot of really neat automations into it so that when you have somebody like Toby's going to be moving into the home, she'll receive an email and be instructions. It's specific to our house. We'll have pictures that we'll send and say, okay, here are the house rules. Here's when the trash is delivered. Here's what we do with recyclables. All that's kind of pre-built and cooked so that when the next person comes on, Nancy comes in and rents a room, that whole chain of emails is automatically sent to the next person through Nancy. And it's kind of really made our life easy. And they send us reminders just via text and via email. It says, okay, well, Nancy moved out of room 3. Please have the cleaners clean it and send a picture when it's done. And we said, okay, it's done. They said, okay, well, Cindy's ready to move in. And they sent a welcome package to Cindy and they move her in. And I think in the month of April, we had like one room empty for 3 days. And that was just that transition between person moved out. We had to get it cleaned and they moved somebody in there.
You are absolutely wrong. It was in March. It was empty for about 2 days.
2 days.
2 days.
Yeah, are you, Cindy?
I'm here. I'm here. Everyone can hear me. So I'm going to tell you how crazy this is, and then I'm going to let Shane bring up the numbers because I know everybody wants to deep dive into those numbers. But the crazy thing about this, we have this PadSplit, and it's an amazing location in Tampa. We had one tenant so far that moved out just because of family emergency. But within we had, I think it was 2 days empty. We had the cleaners come in. And then right when we put it back online, and in 2 hours, literally 2 hours, it was booked again. And that was March. So our PadSplit has had the same people since February, except for one room. So it's been 100% occupied for almost 3 months without a move out at all. So we are at 100% occupied, and we actually have 6 people on the waiting list to move in. This is how crazy it is. Now, I know not all areas are like this, but Tampa has been an amazing area, especially with our specific house. It's very, very close to the bus stops. We have, even though we have room for 7 cars, we only have 3 at our house that are actually using. So we've lucked out with this house. And it's been very nice. I mean, we've had some ups and downs. Don't get me wrong. It's real estate. We've had, our issues, plumbing for that matter. But other than that, it's real estate. You got to figure it out. Things happen and life happens, and plumbing, electrical. We got a washer, wash machine that, stopped working. And so we had to figure it out, and Shane and I did, and brand new washer and so on and so forth. So, but it's really a great pad split. And then we have another pad split in Philadelphia that's coming online in July.
Yes.
Almost done. And it's going to be a 9-bed in Philadelphia, a 9-bed in Philadelphia. So we're real excited. We can't wait for those numbers. Yeah.
So,
happen.
and we're not the pad split experts, but we're figuring it out as we go. And pad split's changing very, very rapidly. They changed some of their pricing structure, and the areas that they're covering as well. So, I just encourage you, if you're looking in a market, just go reach out to pad split. They have area experts. And if you have any trouble finding one, let us know. We know quite a few of them, and we can send you some contact names. I am just going to share my screen real quick. And before we go talking about underwriting, let's see. That's I'll spill the beans. This is the one house we have in Tampa. And this is when it came online in February. And this is our income that we had in March, a couple of days vacant. And April was Cindy's right. Okay, I'll say it. Cindy was correct. We had 100% occupancy. So it's just a great way to really take a single family home and maximize its rent potential. But if you log into a PadSplit account, they have a tab for resources. And one of the things they have is you can compare properties. So you go in here, calculate earnings, and you can pick a market. Xana, what market are you looking in? Or Aaron?
Philadelphia and Jacksonville.
Let's look at Jacksonville. And does Brent have a house picked out yet?
In Philly, he has a potential.
Yeah, he said he had something for you guys.
Do you know how many bedrooms?
I think it's 6 currently.
Okay.
Right? I think 5 or 6.
Yeah, so if it's gonna
Maybe
come
it's
out
5. Maybe it's 5 now. I'm not sure. Aaron, do you remember?
Good
We have
question. Jeremy was supposed to go today to take a look, and he had a flat tire, so he didn't get out there.
He always has flat tires. Oh my God, that's such BS. I'm gonna text him. I am. He always says he's got flat tires.
Tell him that you're going to send him a 4-pack of fresh tires,
Yes.
so he can go
Seriously.
check out our deals.
those tires that never go flat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give him that spray stuff that you put in the tire that fills it up
Right.
and it's ruined.
So if you look at Philly, and if you think the house is 5, you can probably get 8 bedrooms out of it. Right now we're running this average weekly room rent $185. Weekly room rent $185. It's a pretty solid number. And when we look at Tampa, when we first brought our house online, we used that number and the house filled up very, very quickly. But there is also a fee that you can charge as a move-in fee. I think it starts off as $100 as their standard base. And we got a few people interested, but your very first house, you take that number to 0. We filled up like in a week after that. So that kind of gets you top of the list for everybody coming in. And once you get your house filled, then you can adjust from there. Because that was kind of a neat little trick we learned.
So you initially set the price at 0?
For your move-in expense. Yeah, so there's a one-time $100 fee that you can charge. But everybody kind of has that same one. But if you move yours to 0, then put you at the top of the list above everybody else. And all of a sudden, we had a full house. Now, once you have money coming in to pay all the bills, if you wanted to put that back at $100 for the next person, well, you can wait a week or whatever it would take, to refill that room, and you still have enough income coming in to cover all your bills. But when your house is empty and bills are still coming in, you get a little jittery.
Yeah.
So that's when we talked with Ellis, and he helped us with that.
Okay, great.
But so when you look at something like this, so 8 bedrooms, $185 a week, you're looking at a much better return than what you're looking at for just the average rent. So that's kind of what this little comparator in here does for you. If you're just kind of poking around the different markets, because different markets, definitely this number does change quite wild. We were looking at some houses in the Texas market compared to Philly or even Tampa, and this number can jump up over, 210, 220 for the same house, right? You're getting a much better return. So, but $185 a week, that's still not bad. You still can't.
That's just the average.
That's the average.
You probably can get 195 or maybe 200. I would even push it to 200. You probably could get it.
So again, it's a small change in this number here from 185 to like 200 makes a difference. Doesn't seem like much, but times 8 times 4.3 weeks on average in a month makes a difference. So on that, I am going to share. This is a house that we're looking at in Dallas. We have it under contract. Brent found it for us. Brent has I was gonna say he has a house in Dallas. That's not quite right. He has a townhome in Dallas, right? But
He lives in Dallas.
But yeah, he lives part-time in Dallas, so he's hoping to find some homes. This one was on market. So it is an investor home, right? Because it did need some TLC in it. But it looks like all the other houses in the neighborhood. The trick is kind of looking for a house that has some extra parking, no HOAs, so we're not going to get complaints. It has to be near a bus stop. Because what we want to do is have a lot of the people that are living in this lifestyle may or may not have a car. I think we have 6 people in Tampa and only 3 have cars, have vehicles. Everybody else commutes, bus or Uber. So being close to near a bus stop and, close to work is important.
Also, I believe the occupancy is like 89% in Dallas as well.
Yes. Yeah. And again, that's kind of important when you reach out to your PadSplit referral, is kind of get that data by market. But when we look at a house and we start thinking of things like, will this house work for a PadSplit? We start looking at some of the common rooms, like a dining room, like a living room. The layout is important. We've looked at several houses where the layouts are horrible. You really can't convert, part of a common space, maybe because of the way traffic is, and still get a usable bedroom out of it. But the idea is take a space like a separate dining room and convert it to a bedroom. We want to minimize really the congregation areas for people, right? Because these are 6 or 8 strangers living in a house together. We don't necessarily want to have a spot where, well, who owns the TV in that room or who has the couch? We want all that stuff in the individual bedrooms. And even we've gone as far as, yes, there's a refrigerator in the kitchen, but we provided mini fridges in all the rooms. And this kind of helps cut down, some of that stuff people don't necessarily want to have in the communal refrigerator. They can keep it in their own rooms.
No one wants their steak stolen.
Right.
It's like the office lunch.
The office lunch, right?
Exactly.
Yes. Who stole my food? So yeah, so we put mini fridges in each of our bedrooms. We also put a desk and a chair, and we put mirrors, like full length mirrors. I mean, you can get them at Walmart real cheap, in our rooms as well. So the bathrooms are not used, when someone's trying, us girls, we take a lot longer to get ready, right? So we put a full length in their bedroom so they don't hog up the time in the bathroom. So there's less arguments, less fighting. So the full length mirror also is something that is, a bonus.
Yeah, I thought we could see the pictures of our rooms here, but we just got these little pictures.
No. You can't see anything because they're not online. It's not online.
Yeah, it's not online. But they're not super huge. They have a closet, like Sydney said, a desk. There's a mini fridge. It's not in the picture, but it's here, and a bed. And that's basically it. Full length mirror is on here. If you have a house that has a master bedroom, so it has its own bathroom, those do rent for significantly higher than a room with a shared bathroom. So
Sandra, no, you do not provide linens.
correct. So in my calculator, and I'll throw this into the Facebook group. This is the same one that I share with Brent, so it probably looks familiar to some of you. On the first tab, this is just the inputs, right? This is a link to the property, where it's currently at, how many beds, how many baths, square foot, and year built. And that's information that's important to us trying to understand how the conversion is going to go. In this case, we're going to convert it from a 4 to a 7. And this house is a sub 2 house. So we're actually buying this house subject to. And because of that, the total entry fee to purchase this house is only $30,000. Now,
Hey Shane, can you make that a little larger? I don't know if anyone has vision problems like me, but that looks very small.
Okay, old lady.
Thanks, Cindy.
Yeah, all right, see?
Glasses here.
Yeah,
Is that better? Can you see that better?
much better.
Perfect. So on a subject to house, we're buying the house subject to the existing financing staying in place. The deed and the mortgage note are separate things. So we're going to take ownership of the property. The note, we're going to take over and make payments in the name of the previous owner, subject to. We can go down a whole rabbit hole of that, but we won't today. This house we're going to convert to a 7-bedroom, 2.5 bath. When we look at a house and try to say, okay, is it viable for PadSplit? 1,500 is getting to be kind of small. 1,600 square feet is probably at more like a minimum. We start seeing things like 2,000, 2,600 square feet, 2.5 baths. That's when we go, aha, we can add more rooms because there's extra bonus rooms, right? There's usually a den or additional living area. And I think the rule of thumb for pad split is no more than 3 bedrooms per bath. So if you only had
4
2,
bedrooms, Jane. 4 bedrooms per 1 bath.
well, that's kind of tight. Yep, 4 bedrooms, okay.
Or it's okay. So PadSplit says 4 bedrooms to 1 bath. But when we underwrite it and look at houses, we don't do it that way. We do 3 bedrooms to 1 bath. That's just Shane and Cindy's rule.
Gives everybody a little more share space, right? We don't want it to be overly cramped because it brings in a different type of clientele. We want these to be nicer homes, nicer properties. All depends on your market, right? What you're looking for.
If you have a master bath or master bedroom with its own bath, do you include that in the 3, 4? Do you include that in the calculation of how many bedrooms per bath?
I would include it here, but that 1 bedroom isn't shared. So if it was 3 baths, for example, and 7 beds, it's pretty much maxed out in our model because there's 6 bedrooms, the 2 other bathrooms, and the 1 full master is reserved. This was a 1.5, and that full bath was the master. The half bath doesn't work for everybody else. Does that make sense? That hopefully answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And when we look at this from a co-living perspective, anytime we can take a half bath and expand it to being a full bath, we'll do it. As long as it doesn't blow the budget, of course. I mean, that always comes down to the numbers work. And we start pulling in the co-living data from here. You're going to want to enter your average weekly rent, or at least, if you think you can get higher than the average, go ahead and use that assumption. I try not to use that assumption going into it. When I want to do my underwriting, I want to start with the average. If we can make the house look nicer than the average and get a little more, then that's just extra gravy on it. Same thing with occupancy. We look at the occupancy, even in a deal we're looking at in Austin, where the market's actually almost 100%. I would be very reluctant to do much more than like an 89% occupancy. You always just want a little room there for when somebody moves out. 100% occupancy on your underwriting is a little too eager. In this case, this is an easy project for us. We're going to take 30 days, 1 month to rehab it. So this is your carrying time. Currently, the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, because we know that because it is included as the sub 2 deal. We know exactly what that is on an annual basis. And we've already had boots on the ground here. We've had our contractor walk the property, verify the layout so we can get 7 bedrooms. Say again? Was that a question? And then give us a price to convert over to the PadSplit layout. So we know what this is going in. We didn't estimate it based on the knowledge that we know from Philadelphia or Tampa conversions. We went and got a bid, and Brent put some boots on the ground. As in all our deals, we are always looking for a private money partner. So we do the underwriting with our PML payment at 12%. Feel free to use whatever number you're using here. I always think, even if you're bringing your own money in, I would put a number in here that you want to get your interest on. Your money's not free. There is a opportunity cost to it. So make sure you kind of build that in. Based on the number of beds, average weekly rent, and occupancy, this automatically calculates we should produce $68,000 a year from a single family home for rent as our gross income. Almost $5,700 a month. Single family home, $5,700 a month. That's amazing.
It is.
You you get 4 of these, you got some crazy numbers.
We don't have the actual, we don't have the actual LTR. We said this right before we got online and we don't have it, do we?
No.
No.
I did
All right.
not pull the LTR rate for Dallas. I can pull it real quick though.
No, it's all right. Don't worry about it. It's not.
How do you refinance out of your PML?
Okay, so here's the problem with buying a house subject to. We're getting this house at like a 3.5% interest rate on the primary mortgage.
Oh, wow.
2.99.
Right? So we can't, we can't refinance this house because we'll lose this beautiful thing that we got, right? We did all this negotiating to get a house subject to. We can't refinance it. So the majority of the money that's going to come out to this deal is going to be through a private money partner, right? So someone that's going to be partners are actually going to give them equity in the house and they're going to become partners with us. Then we want to do a smaller piece where we're looking for a shorter term interest only payment. We'll probably do 12 months, knowing that at the end of 12 months, we'll probably have to refinance and find another private money partner to pay that person off. And over time, we're course of a year, we'll almost have $48,000 tucked away to pay that off if we wanted to. Or if we can get another partner in, we have cash to deploy or somewhere in between.
With subject to existing mortgage, you're never going to get your PML out. You're always going to have some PML in there.
Yeah.
So, most of the time, if you're happy with your returns as a PML, you stay in the deal. If you're not, you will get cashed out and there'll be another private money partner because the house is already cash flowing, right? The house is already cash flowing. You're getting your money every month, but with a subject sub 2 deal, you can't refinance or you lose that interest rate.
Yeah. What if you didn't have this subject to? Can you go DSCR?
Yes. And you want to be careful because PadSplit is a new thing to the industry, and a lot of the financial institutions aren't underwriting and just giving out a DSCR loan like they would on a single family residence. So if it was a single family rental, easy to get a DSCR loan on. You come up with a PadSplit model, they say no. They want to see you operate it for a year first. So you have to know that going into it and let your PML know that, hey, we'll get you out on a DSCR refi after 12 months of operation. I think the industry will solve this problem over time, but right now, that's the problem we're facing. Is you look at this and go, if this was a single family rental, I can go get a DSCR loan tomorrow, no problem. You look at it and say, I'm producing almost $5,700 a month versus $2,700 a month on the single family. This is so much better. And they look at it and go, no. It's mind boggling, but it is what the industry has. How many places, Cindy, you think we've gone through to find a DSCR loan on a PadSplit? 30?
Too many. Yeah, too many. Too
Too
many.
many.
Too many gray hairs to let you tell you.
So just know that going into it. The other option you have, and we've seen people do this, we didn't do it, is you buy your house, you do the majority of your rehab, but leave it as a single family home. So you don't block off the dining room yet. You don't block off the family room for those extra rooms. You get it appraised as a single family, as a long-term rental. Do your DSCR loan, get that secured, then do your construction into your pad split model, and then you're off to and running. The problem there is, go ahead, Cindy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Aaron, that's what you're gonna want to do.
Yeah,
That's what I was saying. That sounds like a better idea.
Yeah.
Because then
That's
it's
what you're
like
gonna
easy to put up those put up the walls and things aren't going to take
Yeah.
much time.
Yeah.
No. They don't take
Yeah,
much time, not a lot of extra cost, but it does require a little extra cost. It's not as efficient as doing it all at once.
Right.
So that's what Jeremy's gonna do in our Philadelphia pads.
Yeah, that sounds
We're gonna
like
get a DSCR loan, and then we're going to put up the remaining walls. After.
Because we didn't know that when we started Tampa. We went right into pad split model and got it producing income, and then went to go refinance it. And they said no.
Yeah,
So
you're like,
said,
oh wait,
sorry, go ahead.
you're like, oh wait a second, can we take this wall down real quick?
Yeah, kick all these people out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Which is crazy because it's making so much more money than it is as an
right.
LTR.
Like you said, I'm sure the industry will adjust and
Yeah.
fix itself.
They're so worried because if it can't be rented, like the industry's is so backwards because they're afraid if it can't be rented as a long-term rental, then you have no income. But if it's a 6-bedroom house and you have 5 people in there, you're still making income. It doesn't make sense versus that one room not making income.
How
It's
long
backwards.
how long of a lease are the tenants signing? Or is it just month to month?
They're week to week. Pad
Week to
split is week to week. Yeah.
Week
so
to
yeah,
week.
they're paying pad split weekly, and we'll have to go back and watch that Ellis video when pad split actually came on, because they're not really doing a lease with the tenants. The agreement between pad split and the tenant is more of a
Membership. It's a
membership.
membership. Yeah. They're leasing the pad split. You're signing the lease. Like Shane and I had to sign a lease with pad split. Like we have a year lease with pad split. The tenants are signing, they're in a membership with pad split.
But they pay weekly.
But they pay, yes. And they have to abide by the membership laws and so on and so forth.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then there's a whole lot of legalese behind that.
I was gonna say, I'm sure the verbiage
Yeah.
somehow works in their favor legally for sure.
Then that way, if they don't perform, their membership is canceled, and they have to vacate the property.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we do have one tenant. I'm going to be, I love to be very candid and straight, shoot from the hip. We have one tenant. Her name's Bunny. Okay.
Of course.
I
it
think
is.
that's Bunny. Yeah, that's her name. Her name's Bunny. But she's always, late on her payments, and she gets warnings because we get the warnings too. By the way, Bunny in room 2 is late on her payment, but like she always makes sure she gets herself reinstated, because you think about it, those rooms at $195 a week, right? One room in Tampa, $195 a week. They're so hard to come by.
Yeah.
And it's in a good location, and she's got her own fridge, she's got a bed, AC, Wi-Fi, and she's paying $195 every week. It's our like running joke, me and Brent. We're like, oh,
I mean,
we-
it's our
we're-
nightly
we-
rental with
yeah.
the
yeah,
Airbnb, right?
Right.
yeah.
And pad split makes it known that if you are late on a payment to the point where they have to evict you from a house, you're basically done with pad split. They're not going to let you go down the street and rent a pad split from Nancy.
Yeah, because of the membership.
You're out of their system.
Yeah.
So that's another incentive for these people who are in this pad split model to make sure they pay their rent.
Behave properly. Yeah.
You know, and the first time we saw the late payment notice, we kind of all got anxious and like, what do we do? And you know, PadSplit just tells us we got it. This is this is our problem, not yours. This is why you pay us, and they just handle it. As Cindy said, we'll get text alerts, all the communication. We see all the communication. We just don't have to do any of it. Perfect.
I don't know that Melissa. Yeah, I just sent you. That is our address in Tampa. When you Google it, you're not going to see the most prettiest pictures. That is our house, but that's not what it looks like. So don't get
We did some
scared.
work to it.
Is there a recommended site that you use to locate Class C neighborhoods?
Well, I would say that is a good, no, I don't know if it's Class C or not, or how you would do that. This was brought to us by a wholesaler and it was underwritten by Brent. But this particular house, if you look at it and you do a satellite, hey Shane, can you do a satellite, Google satellite, just so they understand? And I'll tell you, this house, Shane and I are eventually going to put some ADUs on it because it's such a great location. It's literally across the street from like a factory. It's not a pretty neighborhood. This is Class C, like working people, you know. It's
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
guys, I'm gonna give you all of this is an area in Tampa where Shane and I have been trying to find other houses. If you can get in this neighborhood, I'll be jealous. We'd love to partner with you. But it is a great neighborhood. It literally is right across the street from a factory. And
Yes,
look, you can see.
Here's the factory.
Yeah.
What does allow us to have is we have all this great parking. The fence is gone. The house has been remodeled. But nobody's down here to bother us and worry about us complaining if there's 3 or 4 cars here. So we were okay with the parking. And
We're gonna put some ADUs on there to get more lodging. Because when we
and actually
originally
it was. Go ahead, Cindy.
But when we originally bought the house, there were ADUs on there.
Yeah.
We had to pay extra for them. We decided not to, because eventually we were gonna put our own ADUs. So they took those ADUs or sold those ADUs. But we're gonna put some ADUs on there. We do have plumbing that's set up for that. So we're hoping to add in another 4 bedrooms and 2 more baths as an ADU to really maximize the the amount of rooms we can get. Yeah, and the income. Yep, and the income, because it is in such a it's kind of a I don't know, it's a purple squirrel of a house. I mean, we're across the street from a factory, like no one's gonna complain. So yeah.
So kind of going through, there's a couple of things that you need to be aware of, because one of the things we do have to do, we're responsible for keeping the common areas clean. Another reason we don't want to have a lot of common areas. But so every other week we come in and have the kitchen and bathrooms all taken care of. We're not responsible for cleaning any of the rooms. That's on the tenants. So you got to make sure you have that expense built into your model. It took us a little while to work with the right cleaner so that every time they're in there, they do their job. We want to make sure we have pictures, because this is not a place that Cindy and I can go visit. I'm in Michigan, she's in Arizona, this is in Florida. Our cleaners are our most frequent eyes on the property. They're the front, and there are cameras on the front of the door and the back door, so we see who's coming and going, but we don't have cameras inside the property. It's kind of weird. So we rely on the cleaners to kind of come in and make sure that inventory is taken care of. Everything that is all the major pieces are still there and functioning. Because we have more people in the house than normal, when you look at your utility bill as a single family rental, I think you should probably increase it based on the number of extra rooms or extra people that you have. So if this was a 4-bedroom, and we took it to a 7, we didn't quite double it, but we increased it at least 35%. We'll see if this number holds out through the summer for the electric, for the AC, but through the winter, it did just fine for the spring. And we have to take care of the lawn and landscape. That's part of our responsibility. I know they've said some people hire somebody in the house to do it. But that means that we got to take care of equipment. I don't want to do that either. Cindy doesn't want to do with that. We just hired a service. And same thing, every time they mow the lawn, make sure they take a picture and send us what the house looks like. So we want to make sure that the outside doesn't start looking trashy. Stuff gets piled up outside. So, and you do have to provide internet service. So make sure that's built into your expense model. We didn't have this as part of our original expense list, but something that, again, I think having 7 people living in the house together is important. It is every once in a while you come through and you have a professional pest control come in, make sure that there's no creepy crawlies, rodents, or any of that stuff. So it was just kind of an ease, peace of mind and preventative to just have that built into the model. Plan on pest control. And a couple of those, right, Cindy, we didn't originally think of, but those are the little things that add up.
Mhm.
And we know what the PI/TI is on this, And again, your PadSplit fee, it used to be 14.75%. They've reduced it. They've kind of improved their model on how they charge. And what I'll tell you as a certainty, it's not a straight percentage. It's very interesting how they calculate it, because the first day or the first week of the month is a higher rate, the second week slower, and then the third and fourth week you get a lot more of the money. It's kind of a scaled system that way. As long as everybody stays in the property, it works out this way. It's if you get a lot of turnover, I think they're trying to recoup some of their costs for having to find and source and input people. So just kind of be aware and understand what that model looks like. But on average, 11% kind of covers it right now. So you add all that up, our scheduled net operating income, right, aka profit before debt service, is $2,300 a month. Well, that's pretty good. And I say debt service, it does include the subject to payment. Knowing that, then all we have to do now is figure out, well, how much private money do we need to bring to the table? $2,300. And this is where we just do some really quick math to see if, is this a stinker of a deal or is this a potential here? At 12% interest, we can raise $230,000 and break even. Not that we want to, but kind of think of that number in your head and go, all right, as long as I know we need something closer to half that, well, we're good. We know that the total entry fee is $30,000. We got to look at closing costs. Make sure that you add those in. In this case, we have a gator fee, and if you don't know what a gator fee is, we borrow the EMD and we pay a fee for that. Why would we do that? Well, a lot of us are in Gator. Cindy and I are in Gators. We're not really borrowing that money from the community. We borrow from ourselves. So this is a little way for us to pay ourselves back for using our own money for the down payment of the EMD. So if you're using EMD and you don't necessarily want to do that, but again, we look at that as an opportunity cost for putting our money down for EMD, while might as well recoup a little bit of funds for that. And you do a couple of these, now you have more money set aside to do more EMDs. We know what our construction cost is. When you look at furnishing these, kind of go in, we'll do a whole show, I think, just on furnishing an Airbnb and furnishing a PadSplit. I think we'll do that here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, well,
So
bring
if you-
Journey on.
But furniture costs is something that you have to take into account because it's not a small number. You start adding up all the fixtures, especially if you're buying new appliances, new washer and dryer, refrigerators, mini fridges for all the rooms. You know, you've got 7 bedrooms. All that adds up, and make sure you keep comfortable reserve there. We also threw things in there like replace ceiling fans, you know, the Ring cameras, front and back door, the locks for all the bedrooms. You know, PadSplit will recommend that you have a digital lock so that when Nancy forgets her code and or locks herself out of her room, you can remotely reset that. Or when Erin moves out, we can reset her code so the code's different for the next person moving in. You don't have to worry about actual physical keys. Because once somebody moves out of the house, you change the code, you know, their access code to even get into the house. Once they're not a paying customer, they can no longer come into the front door, let alone the room door. We always build in some reserves, right? That oops, just in case model. In this case, we have a PM fee. So these are points that we're building into the model in case we need them. Right, showing all our cards here. If I want to convince Nancy to come be a private money lender on this, we run over it as at 12%, but we also put in 5 points up front too for that. Or at least $5,000 set aside for points, not necessarily 5 points because the numbers don't quite match up, but it's close. It's closer to 3 points. We have a TC fee built in because who wants to do all that paperwork? I try to give Cindy all that paperwork, but she's allergic to paperwork.
Yeah, very much.
This is something that we build in. If you're securing the property, you may not. If you're a part of the RoomWise group, this number is much lower. But we always try to put in an acquisition fee of $10K. That way, at closing, we take that money back out and we pay ourselves for all the time and effort that we've put in and our team has put in to find a deal, put it under contract, you know, all the negotiation, doing all the bidding, all this work, because our team is the one doing all the work. So we want to make sure we have some money set aside for that. You may or may not, but we have a line in there if you want to. All that added up, you know, we need about $135,000 for this deal. At 12% interest, that's $16,000 in interest payments. So we know that given this NOI, even if we were borrowed all that money at 12%, paying points, paying the acquisition fee, paying a gator fee, we're still clearing $1,000 a month. That is why we're going to buy as many PadSplits as we can. If we can come out of this a little better and reduce some of these numbers, we will look at, you know, in the first year, we buckle down, we could pay off that $50K PML. And if any of you are trying to wonder, we are looking at $150 for this house. Only give yourself a little more elbow room than normal, but we'd be more than happy with 130. In that case, you could easily pay that off, that PML piece in the year. So you're going to have your 100K, in this case, our 100K private money partner in for the duration of the deal. But that person gets a great return. They're also getting depreciation on the house because they are part owner of the house. They're also getting appreciation value. You got quiet. Did I lose everybody?
No, we're listening.
Okay. Because I can't see any pretty faces. All I see is numbers.
We're listening.
So,
Yeah.
any
Go ahead.
questions on kind of how that model breaks down?
I have a question, and this
Yeah.
has come up. This has come up before. When you're building in an acquisition fee for your team, essentially, I mean, how do your private money lenders partners feel about that? Because not only are you borrowing for the project, but you're borrowing to pay yourself.
Yeah.
Especially in all of our Gator trainings and everything like that, they're instructing people to like watch out for that and to decline to fund those types of deals. So, and I understand both sides of it. What's that conversation look like for you guys?
Yeah. So first and foremost, we broke it out. We started doing that end of last year, and we wanted to make it very clear whenever we charge acquisition fee, we let everybody know. It's not hidden anywhere. We're calling it out. We're letting you know it's
No.
right here.
Can I interject, Shane, for a second?
Yeah,
So
please.
we actually have two other people that are our team, Cassandra. So
Mhm.
they're not buying the house. We have a project manager and we have someone who actually, Brent, who found the house, negotiated the house and got it under contract for us. So it's not, even though it says acquisition, like we still have to pay those people. It's almost like a wholesale fee. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like they did the work, you know?
Right. Yep.
So we have to pay them that fee. So maybe it's not the right word that we say acquisition but they found it and we're paying the project manager to manage the project for us. So that's
Right.
coming out of that acquisition fee.
Yeah, Clay and I had a similar conversation because we'd like to bring on some other folks to help us, manage our chaos that we create. And it's like,
Yeah.
then I've had lenders be like, I'm not giving you guys money to borrow to pay. And it's like, well, shit,
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, I guess it's just finding another lender that understands it and
Yeah.
that the numbers still work.
Exactly. Because that's what we have to pay. Out of that 10K, we have to pay Brent and Jeremy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So.
And they're with
Nobody ever
RoomWise.
complains.
What's that?
They're
No
with
one ever complains.
RoomWise.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's my bad. We're with RoomWise. You guys, Brett and Jeremy, are with RoomWise. I heard you mention them.
Yeah. So RoomWise is actually Shane, myself, Brent and Jeremy. It's our company.
Okay.
And so we basically are kind of a one and done model.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just looking at the website. So you guys like help find the properties, help fund the properties.
Project management. Yeah.
Yeah, do the conversion and do all the property management afterwards.
Okay. So this
whatever.
website is specifically for people who just want to invest. So that's like your landing page for your private money lenders, essentially. That's who you're marketing towards on this, or?
No, it's
Okay.
for if you, Cassandra, wanted to go out and buy a PadSplit.
Mm-hmm.
Our team will find it for you.
Okay.
We'll
Underwrite it
find
for
it for you, negotiate it. We'll do the underwriting. We can get it all set up. Either we can get you to a hard money lender. If you want to go private money, there's additional costs. Everything has additional costs, right?
Right.
But so the private money side is because it's a lot more work.
Yeah.
But then we have Jeremy and his crew will come in. They'll do the whole conversion, right? So they'll give you the bid, and they'll come in and do the work. They do fabulous work. And then Brent has a team that comes in and they'll manage the property. And so all you have to really worry about then is collecting a check.
Right on. And this is all East Coast.
Well, right now we're starting to
doing
expand into the
Texas.
Texas market.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Good
If
to
I
know.
may, I was RoomWise's first client and our property is coming live soon. And if you looked at
Love you.
what our property is, and it is beautiful now. It's nicer than most people's homes, I think. And we voluntarily went to the property once, wasn't really necessary. We get photos every week from Jeremy. He communicates very, very well with us. And it's been the easiest. It's been very easy and very it didn't take
We
long
love-
to find, just get all clean properties. And if you're eager to get started in the model and do it from afar, it really is a great way to do this. And it makes it very easy.
Mhm.
And you get all the benefits and you're doing it from afar.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's definitely a secondary exit for us. Clay and I are most interested in doing transitional living and housing more vulnerable demographics. So we're really looking to team up with like nonprofits and things along those lines as far as housing these folks. And a lot of that will be double occupancy as well. So there's less double occupancy per room. So there's less of a need necessarily to add multiple bedrooms. But it's still along the same vein. So very cool. Very cool. Glad to know you guys are doing that.
So sorry, when I was going through the calculator, I didn't get to see all the comments, but I see we got plenty of comments. I will share the link. Yes. I saw there's some legalities with redlining the communities. Yes, there are. As wonderful as the PadSplit model is, there are some communities that are pushing back on the model. And I think that's because people start to push the limits a little too hard as far as how many heads are living in one space. A lot of that legality stuff, make sure you check with with PadSplit if you're going into a new market. Because they've kind of told us what areas, what communities are pushing back a little bit. But if you do have pushback, they do say they take care of some of that legal requirements for you, as long as it's one of their primary markets. If you're in middle of nowhere, you can still do a PadSplit model, yes, but you don't have all the support, and that'd be one of those cases.
Hey guys, if any of you are interested, Shane and I are looking for a PML partner on this. I believe we secured someone at 100K. We are also looking for someone at 50K. So if anybody's interested in being a PML partner, we would love to have you and teach you. And if anyone is interested, coming along for the ride.
And to answer Toby's question here about the insurance was the one thing that they didn't care if it was PadSplit or long-term rent. They just wanted to know that it was a rental. We did have to have an extra inspection, but that was because it was Florida. They had to come out and do some additional inspections, but not because it was a PadSplit. But right now, I'd say make sure you get your quotes for insurance if you're in a state like Florida, because holy cow, a couple of places insurance has just gone through the roof.
Yeah, I live in Florida. It's crazy outrageous. And I live in South Florida. So yeah, you are telling 100% the truth there.
It's
The good thing about our one in Tampa is pretty high. The one good thing about this particular PadSplit is that we have such a low rate that even though the insurance is a little bit, it's built in, obviously the insurance is built in, but the numbers still look so good on this, even though it's Texas and insurance, because Texas has horrible insurance too. They've gotten really bad. Florida and Texas. Remember I said no more Florida and Texas, Shane, after we went through the Tampa insurance? I'm like, nope, no more, no more. And then now we're buying in Texas.
There is that link, and I'll just pull this out of here too.
Another good area is Kansas City, guys. PadSplit is in Kansas City. So that's a good area, Kansas City. Phoenix is, I live here and it's we have the hardest time finding a deal here.
Have you guys looked at Vegas?
Vegas is very hard. Brent sent me a message on Mother's Day. Brent sent me a message. He told me no Miami, no Vegas, and no Phoenix.
Why Phoenix?
Because it's too hard. The cost of the houses are too high. They don't make sense. Unless you can find a sub-2 deal. And still, the sub-2 deal, I mean, we looked at one in Tampa, literally right around the corner from our Tampa house. It was a sub-2 deal. We got the entry fee down a little lower, and it did not make sense. I went back to the wholesaler. I said, the only way this is going to make sense if it was a 10K entry fee.
Well,
that's
so
exactly
awesome.
what he said. That's exactly what he said. I said, this is the only way it's going to make sense if it's a 10K entry fee. But yeah, it's just, you know, it's, I mean, it's really, you know, you have to find a good partner to be able to find properties and can underwrite them. That is my, you know, I have Shane and I have Brent that underwrite my properties for me. If you find a really good partner, or if you're able to do it yourself, that's fantastic, because you have to underwrite about 1,000 properties to find the gold mine. I mean, and I know, I talk to Nancy all the time. Nancy tells me all day long, all she does is underwrite properties.
Like I tell you,
This is
if we
true.
come across a good deal, we have to be careful because Nancy snatches them up.
Not at all. Not at all.
No, they like throw it up. Sorry, my kids are yelling, but yeah, I mean, we underwrite a lot of deals, But yeah, you guys, if there's any questions, you can reach out to, most of you know how to get in touch with us because we're all over our Creative Real Estate University, but you guys can reach out to us. If you got any questions.
Thank you guys so much for sharing all this information. This is really helpful.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
So
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah. And
Someone did
we'll,
just ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
Someone just asked, what about the
Nancy, you're
turnkey
breaking up.
PadSplit that are for sale? And in my experience, whoops.
Oh. If you're on the PadSplit website and they actually have properties for sale, is that what you mean? That's function.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't underwritten those. There's a couple of them that I've looked at that I was curious on. The trick is you're going to have to figure out financing for them. So that you have to make sure they have 12 months records of rental history and go into knowing that might be a battle you have to fight is the financing. If you want, we can pick out one or two and do a show next week and let's look at a couple. Anybody interested? And we'll see if we can't go buy a pre-converted operating PadSplit. That sound interesting? All right.
Yes.
All right, let's do that. I'll get it scheduled then. This time work for everybody? All right, and we'll do that. Heidi, you have your hand up. Do you have a question?
I'll be the vote for earlier, Shane.
Okay.
That one vote.
Sorry, I couldn't get off mute. I don't have a question. I was raising my hand that yes, I would love for you to do that next week.
Okay. All right. And we'll look at the time, Aaron, and see if we can get it earlier. I know this works for the East Coast people. It's kind of hard to get too early in the day. So Clay's out in Wyoming, so we don't want to get too early. All right. I appreciate it. Same time
Thank
works. All right. Well, thank you very much. We'll make it the same time. Sorry, Aaron. We'll just have to drink
That's
some more
okay.
coffee during the day and stay up a little later.
I'll suck it up.
And if you find a pad split that you're interested in, send it to me. And we'll do that one. Otherwise, I'll just pick 2 by random.
Okay,
Or ones that pique my interest.
sounds good. Thanks, Shane.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.